crystals. The thinner gauge wire is just as good and a lot easier to work. This happens to be stranded, but unstranded works just as well. Alright, we have our split wire. We're looking for just about the center point on it. Hook the center point over a nail. Lengthen your end of wires. Put in a small knot. Next, set the knot in the chuck of the drill. Securing the knot in the chuck, set the drill to turn to loosen screws. That would be lefty loosen. Keep a steady pressure back against the drill. Keep the wire from kinking. Slowly begin to turn. Speed up your nail. Almost. If you don't have a drill and you're using smaller crystals, you can certainly do this by hand by ripping a pencil into the knotted end. Again, turn it like you were loosening the screw. You can tell it's wound sufficiently tight when the spirals are at 45 degrees and it has a nice smooth finish. This is ready to wrap now. Today we're going to wrap a large Brazilian crystal. This one is hollow. It will be filled with Orgonite to make a power punch. Jake, I need you to zoom in here. Stop. Stop. So, this is the end that will be connected to your frequency generator. It goes on first, slightly angled downward. Take your wrap around the crystal, over, and under. Pull through. And this is the first course on your wrap. Be careful not to kink your wire. Leave a little looseness on the first course wrap because you're going to have to put several turns through it. Now, continue up the crystal. Here's your second course of the wrap. Comes around, and right before the first course loop is where you want to make your second course loop. And once again, back through. If you have trouble getting your wire under the loop, take a small tool and turn. Give yourself some room to get through there. This will be the start of the third course. There we go. Pull up. Again, avoiding a kink at this end. Begin to tighten up a little bit, and you see where the second course went right by the first course. Third time, moving up the crystal. This time crossing just ahead of where the second course crossed. Bringing you back down into the knot. Give yourself some room to get under. And loop. Fourth wrap, continuing up the crystal. And again, dropping over right before the previous course. After it's completely wrapped, you can add glue to it to help hold it in place. Goop, silicone glue, glue gun, instant super glue, anything like that will be fine. Now, tighten up your bands from the back. Here's the last course through, first three. One more time around, right over the previous course. And under. To avoid this knot becoming too large, instead of continuing on around and making more courses, you can also pull up and start an entire new wrap. Again, Go over and under. Second wrap. Over. Under. And the next wrap. When you get to the end, simply tuck your loop back in and glue it shut. Now, this is a start on your first Mobius coil course. This is your second when it starts to become unwieldy. This end will be stripped and charged by a frequency generator. Alright, moving to a smaller crystal. Entirely too big to wrap a crystal this size. You would need something of a much thinner gauge. And again, turn it the equivalent of drilling counterclockwise. And it wraps the same. Here is your hot end to be connected. Here, wrap around, leaving a little bit of slack here. Slip that under for the first course. You can adjust your tension here. Second course, drop over. Go up. Again, third course, drop over, and go up. There. It takes a little practice to know how much wire you're going to need for what size crystal, but we'll have lots of time to practice. The last course goes through. This is why you loop your first course very slack. Each preceding course tightens the entire coil. So by the time you get to the end, it's usually a pretty good fit to get it under. This one fits just about right. From here, there we go. Now, a little extra here will get tucked and glued, and this end will be stripped and connected to a frequency generator. And that is a basic lesson on how to make Mobius coil wraps around crystals.